Hi everybody, welcome back. I'm going to try something new. I'm going to do this outdoors. I have no idea how the sound's going to be. You'll give me your feedback as always. This week we start the fourth book of the Torah, Bamidbar. And Bamidbar means the wilderness. And the first parasha is called Bamidbar, and it's read the Shabbos before Shavuot. That is the holiday that commemorates the giving of the Torah to the Jewish people. Many years ago, a location scout for Law and Order came knocking at our door and asked if they could possibly use our home for one of the scenes in their story. That was pretty exciting. But that's what a location scout does. The director gives them a script and say, okay, find me the house, find me the town, find me the country, and that's where we're going to do the story. Now, if God came to me or any of us and said, look, I want to give the Torah to the Jewish people, go find me a good location for it, I would have said, oh, I know a good place. It's called Israel, Eretz Yisrael. It's the holiest place in the world. How befitting that would be. You know what? I even know a really good mountain in Jerusalem, in Yerushalayim. That, a lot of stuff has happened there. I think this would just be great. And yet God decides, no. He chooses, of all places, a wilderness, a place that is desolate, a place that has no rules to it. And yet God decides that's where I'm going to reveal myself to the Jewish people and give them my great treasure. And the question is why? And there are many answers. I'd like to offer the following. And that is that if God had given us the Torah in Eretz Yisrael, in Israel, we would think the only time we have to keep the Torah is when we live in Israel. But the truth is, that isn't the case. But I want to explain something else. I was talking to my students this week about Yom Yerushalayim, the celebration of Jewish sovereignty past 52 years. The Jewish people have had the privilege of once again living and flourishing in the entire Yerushalayim. And I asked my students, what are we celebrating today? And two, what did we do to deserve it? So I explained to them the following, that we as a Jewish people have spent more time out of Eretz Yisrael than in Eretz Yisrael. As a sovereign nation, maybe 1,100 years, 1,200 years, 1,300 years. The exile has been over 2,000 years. And yet we're still here. And why is that? Not because we have a nation, but because we have a Torah. But Torah and Eretz Yisrael are both called a marasha, an inheritance. It's a heritage, not just an inheritance. And a heritage takes work to maintain and to keep for the next generation. We are that next generation who have been given this great gift of not only the Torah, but of a sovereign Eretz Yisrael and a sovereign Yerushalayim. Yes, it's complicated, but nothing that's worthwhile doesn't come without effort. So this coming Shabbat, we read Bamidbar, we think of the wilderness and the desert. We realize that all we need is Torah to keep us as a nation. But how great it is when we can keep it in Eretz Yisrael. Shabbat Shalom. Thanks for listening. And if you like what you heard, pass it on. Chag Sameach. Shabbat Shalom.